Hello guys, welcome to the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. Today we are going to begin with lecture 5 from the course S block elements, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. So we are discussing the group 1 elements, that is the alkali metals, and over here in the last lecture we were talking about the chemical properties of the alkali metals. So we will be continuing our discussion further. This is going to be chemical properties lecture number 2. Please make sure you watch the previous lecture before viewing this one for a complete understanding of all the chemical properties. But it would be my real request, if you watch the whole course, you are going to be performing super duper in your examination, be it JEE Mains, Advanced, NEET, or any other examination that you will be appearing for. We are putting up a level best effort to give you a very detailed content, a content which is going to help you in the examination in all possible manners. Be it giving you a detailed content, be it giving you tricks to learn the reactions, be it seeing the previous year questions, everything, and even at the end we are giving you a have an edge section where we are putting up all the important points of the lecture so that you can have a quick revision when you will be doing your final preparations just before your examination. So we are giving in a level where the only request would be, please watch the lecture completely, do share it with your friends, to subscribe to the channel so that it can grow and help other students as well. So along with the chemical properties of the alkali metals, what is formed in those chemical properties are certain salts of the alkali metals that are formed. For example, if you watch the previous lecture, you would be knowing that when alkali metals react with oxygen, the oxides, the superoxides, the peroxides of the alkali metals, they are formed, right? So we talk about the characteristics of these salts of the alkali metals along with the chemical reaction so that you have a complete understanding of those salts, how they are prepared and what are the characteristics of those salts, because that is very important. So similarly, we will be doing this lecture also. We will be talking about the characteristics of the salts of the alkali metals, which are going to be a product of the chemical reactions of the alkali metals also simultaneously. So I hope you're going to enjoy your learning with me. I'm Dr. Ritu Johar from the channel H2O, and I hope you're going to really enjoy and gain with me. So let us begin the learning. So let us begin the learning with a quick recap of what we have learned in the previous lectures. I hope you are really going to enjoy it, revising it with me. So we have the alkali metals, that is lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. And here I present you have an edge from the lectures number 2 and 3 where we talked about the atomic and the physical properties. So the trends we have where lithium is going to be having a property that will be the highest, and down the group cesium will be having that property to be the lowest. Which are going to be those properties I will be showing you, and then I will be showing you those properties where lithium is going to be having for those properties the least value and cesium will be having the highest value. So lithium being having the highest is going to be when the ionization energy we will be talking about, because smaller is going to be the size, it is going to be more difficult to remove the electron. Then the hydration energy values, they are highest for lithium ion. Then we have electronegativity values for lithium. Then hardness is going to be maximum for lithium. Cesium is going to be the softest of them all. Melting and boiling points, they are going to be highest for lithium. Then we have the properties where cesium is going to be having those highest values. It is going to be atomic size that is going to increase down the group, ionic size increasing down the group, atomic volume is going to increase down the group, because the hydrated ion is going to be maximum for lithium ion. So the ionic mobility is going to be the least for the lithium ion. So ionic mobility for the ion is going to be the least. Then ionic mobility is going to be maximum for cesium. So conductivity is also going to be maximum in the solution for cesium ion. And then it is going to be softness, because hardest is going to be lithium. So cesium is going to be the softest. And one thing more that is left over here is that is density. So for density, it is going to increase down the group with an exception of potassium, which because of the addition of the 3d orbitals become a bit more unusually larger in size than sodium. So this has a lower density than that of sodium. Otherwise, down the group, the densities, they are going to increase. Next, we went on to lecture number 4, which was the last reaction, where we saw a few chemical reactions and the chemical properties that we discussed. I'll just quickly talk about them. That we discussed was, first of all, the reaction of the alkali metals with water. So when the group 1 elements, they react with water, they form the corresponding hydroxide. These hydroxides, they are the strongest bases known. They are alkaline in nature. That is why we call the group 1 elements to be the alkali metals, and along with that, hydrogen is going to be produced. Then we talked about the reaction with oxygen. So oxygen, if it is going to be a limited supply of oxygen, then the metals, they will be forming the corresponding oxide, that is M2O. But if it is going to be reacting with excess of oxygen, then lithium will be forming its monoxide or simple oxide, whereas sodium will be forming its peroxide, and the potassium, rubidium and cesium, they in excess of oxygen will be forming the superoxides. Right, so this is what you have to remember. And then also please remember, when it is going to be reaction with air, then again it is going to be excess of oxygen present in air. So these are going to be the oxides that will be formed. If it is going to be dry air, this is all that will be formed. But if the air is going to be moist, when these oxides, they will be reacting with water to form again the corresponding hydroxides. So I've told in the previous lecture how to remember all those reactions. So please do watch the previous lecture. Along with that, in air, nitrogen is also present. So lithium, please do remember, this is the only alkali metal that can directly combine with nitrogen of the air to form lithium nitride. Sodium also can react under specific conditions of high pressure, presence of copper oxide, to form sodium azide, but not a nitride. That you have to remember. It is lithium only which can directly combine with the nitrogen of the air to form lithium nitride. This also in presence of water. Well, this is going to form the corresponding hydroxide, and along with that, a very important gas, ammonia, is going to be produced. So that is what you have to remember for the previous lecture. And along with that, there were certain trends that we learned for these oxides, peroxides, superoxides, hydroxides that we learned in the last lecture. So let us quickly have a look at them also. So the first trend we have was for the stability of the oxides. So the oxide ion, I told you, is a small ion, so an ion. So it is going to be happy with a small cation. So it is going to be lithium oxide which will be the most stable, and down the group stability is going to decrease. And as far as the peroxides, the superoxides and the ozonides are going to be concerned, all of the anions, they are large in size, so they will be happy with a large cation. Right, so stability is going to be maximum for cesium, peroxide, superoxide and ozonide. And then we talk about the basic strength of the hydroxides, so that is also going to increase down the group. Then we have the stability of the hydroxides increasing down the group, the solubility of the hydroxides also increasing down the group. So these are the things that we have understood in detail in the last lecture. In case you have any doubts related to these, well, you can watch the lecture back again. So now after that, we have discussed about the three properties of the alkali metals, that is the reaction with oxygen, reaction with air and reaction with water. We move on to the fourth property, that is the formation of hydrides. Alright, now ide, as I told you in the last lecture also, while we were talking about lithium nitride, ide is going to be always there when it is going to be, first of all, a binary compound, and ide is always with the anion. Right, so now we are talking about the formation of the hydrides. So this means that ide is meaning that it is going to be a binary compound. Now in this binary compound, the anion is going to be hydrogen, and because we are talking about the formation of the hydrides by the alkali metals, so the cation is going to be the alkali metal. So it is going to be alkali metal hydrides, a binary compound where the cation is alkali metal and hydrogen is going to be the anion. So that is going to be H negative over here. Okay. So the alkali metals, they react with hydrogen to form the corresponding alkali metal hydride. Now here temperature is very important. Please do remember, all the alkali metals, they react with hydrogen to form the corresponding alkali metal hydride at a temperature of 673 Kelvin, whereas lithium this does at a higher temperature of 1073 Kelvin. Why is it so? Well, I hope you all can guess now that lithium, this has a small size, it has high ionization enthalpy, so it is going to be the least reactive out of all these in its reaction with hydrogen. That is why it is going to require more temperature to react with hydrogen to form the corresponding hydride. Okay. Now, these all hydrides, they are going to be ionic solids, and because they are ionic in nature, therefore they will be having high melting points. One very important thing that you have to remember, this is not given in the NCERT. These were the only two lines which were given in the NCERT textbook, but I am going to teach you a lot over here and nothing out of the NCERT textbook syllabus. Understand this. First of all, we have said that these are ionic solids, so you should know about the ionic character trend. So ionic character, this is going to increase down the group. Why it does increase down the group? Because the ionization energy decreases down the group and the electrons, they are easily available for the stable hydride formation, that is H negative, will be having the electronic configuration 1s2, that is the noble gas configuration. So easy is going to be the electron lost as we are going to move down the group. Therefore, the ionic character increases down the group. Right, so cesium hydride is going to be the most ionic in nature. Now, what about the stability of these hydrides? Well, the stability of the hydrides, this is going to decrease down the group. So I'm not teaching you anything out of the syllabus. This is everything that can be asked to you because this is the applied aspect of what you have already learned. Right, so the stability of the hydrides, this is going to decrease down the group. Now, before I tell you the reason for that, which you can see over here, do you remember the trick I told you to learn the stability orders? I told you that just remember that the small cation is happy with a small anion and a large cation is going to be happy with a large anion, sorry. Right, so here the hydride ion, this is very small in size, so it is going to be happy with what? It is going to be happy with the smallest cation, which is going to be the lithium ion. So lithium hydride is going to be the most stable, and as we go down the group, the size of the cation is increasing, the stability is decreasing. Now, what is the actual reason for that? The actual reason is that as we are going down the group, the atomic size of the central atom, this is increasing. The bond length between the metal and the hydrogen, this will increase, and longer the bond is, weaker it is going to be, and easier it is going to be broken. So that is why the stability is going to be maximum for lithium hydride. Did I teach you anything new? No, I did not. Let me teach you something more about these hydrides, which is going to be very important, and everything I am taking from the NCERT textbook. It may not be given only with the S block elements, but in other chapters of the NCERT textbook. So let us talk about these hydrides also here only. That is going to be very helpful for your learning. So these hydrides, please do remember, they react with water to form hydrogen. This is one reaction again which you have learnt in the preparation of hydrogen. For example, we have sodium hydride. When this is going to react with water, correspondingly NaOH and hydrogen will be produced. Because the corresponding hydroxide is produced, therefore we call them to be basic hydrides. And as you're going to move in the periodic table from left to right, you will find that these will become from basic to acidic hydrides. The order of the reactivity of the hydrides is going to be lithium hydride, the least reactive, and moving down the group, the size of the atom is going to increase, the size of the bond length is going to increase, therefore easier the bond is going to be broken, and hence cesium hydride, this will be the most reactive. Now, one very important thing that you have to remember is, if we take these fused hydrides and do an electrolysis of that, well, they are going to yield hydrogen at the anode. And this is important. Why this is important is because of the release of hydrogen at the anode, we come to know the existence of the H negative ion. Now these hydrides, again, they find a very important use in the synthesis of complex hydrides like sodium borohydride, lithium borohydride, lithium aluminium hydride, and all of these, they are very good reducing agents which we use in organic synthesis. So you will be studying a lot about these inorganic reactions where all they are going to be used. So therefore, the synthesis of these, they are happening from alkali metal hydrides, and alkali metal hydrides we are getting from the alkali metals. So all this is a related study which I'm just putting it together for you people. Okay. So lithium hydride, this on reaction with aluminium chloride, this will be forming lithium aluminium hydride, and along with that aluminium chloride will, lithium chloride will be formed. Then we have sodium hydride, this on reaction with BF3 at a temperature of 450 Kelvin, it forms diborane, that is B2H6. This is the simplest boron hydride. You will be studying about this reaction in group 13 elements. I am picking up all the reactions from wherever they are in the NCERT textbook to combine your knowledge, make it repetitive for you again and again so that it is always in your mind. Okay, so we have sodium hydride reacting with BF3 to form diborane, and along with that sodium fluoride will be formed, and further sodium hydroid can react with diborane to form sodium borohydride. So this is how sodium borohydride, lithium aluminium hydride reactions they are going to be taking place. Now, all these hydrides, they have their own significance. One is that they are used as the reducing agents. So there are going to be certain reactions where you will be seeing them again in your NCERT textbook. For example, this reaction of sodium borohydride with water forming sodium metaborate, and along with that hydrogen being released, is what you will be finding in the group 13 elements discussion. Okay, so this is going to be again very important. Sodium metaborate is a very important compound which we have for boron. Lithium aluminium hydride, this on reaction with BF3, this forms diborane. Along with that lithium fluoride, and along with that aluminium fluoride. So how can you remember this reaction? This is very simple one. If you see it over here, we have lithium, we have aluminium. Just combine them one by one with fluorine. So lithium will be forming its fluoride, aluminium will be forming its fluoride, and along with that what is happening now? This is boron. Right, so boron is going to combine with the hydrogen of lithium borohydride. So boron will be forming its hydride, lithium and aluminium forming their fluorides, and boron forming its hydride. These are going to be the three compounds that will be formed. Okay. Then we have sodium borohydride. This can also react with iodine to form diborane, and NaI and hydrogen will be released. So all these reactions you will be finding when you will be studying the group 13 elements, but that will be now a repetition for you people because you've already seen these reactions. So here do remember that lithium hydride, this is very frequently used in the synthesis of other hydrides because this is unreactive with oxygen and chlorine at a moderate temperature. So it is not going to combine with oxygen or chlorine to form the corresponding oxide or forming the corresponding chloride. It is going to in fact form other hydrides. Okay. I have a question for you people. The question is lithium aluminium hydride. This reacts with silicon tetrachloride to form which out of these three compounds? And this is a question which has been asked in the JEE Mains 2018 examination. Now you will say, ma'am, you have not taught this reaction, and if you are going to search in the NCERT textbook also, you will not find this reaction. So how are you going to do this? Well, let me give you a clue. First of all, the answer to this question is B. Can you think of the answer? Well, let me give you another clue. The clue is just this reaction that you have just now done. Lithium aluminium hydride reacting with BF3 to form diborane, lithium fluoride and aluminium fluoride. Now, just take the help of this and predict what is going to be the reaction between lithium aluminium hydride and silicon tetrachloride. What you have to simply do is silicon tetrachloride instead of BF3 and predict the products. So this is what the reaction has to be. Lithium aluminium hydride plus silicon tetrachloride. So if you thought about it, let me tell you now, right? So we have silicon. This is going to react with hydrogen, right? So it will be forming silicon hydride. Lithium will be reacting with chlorine to form lithium chloride. Aluminium will be reacting with chlorine to form aluminium chloride. So this is going to be the reaction, and well, what is going to be the product? Therefore, it is going to be B. It is lithium chloride, aluminium chloride and silicon hydride. This is being formed. So this is how you can correlate the reactions and find the answer. It may be not that every time you will be given the reactions. So some things that you will have to think in your examinations also. Now the fifth type of reactions we have to do for the alkali metals, they are the reactivity of the alkali metals towards halogens. Now you all know that the alkali metals, they can lose one electron to gain the nearest noble gas configuration, and this electron, if it is gained by the halogens, well, the halogens are also going to attain their nearest noble gas configuration. So what we find out is that the alkali metals, they react very vigorously with the halogens, and because it is the loss of electron and that electron being gained by the halogens, well, they are going to form ionic halides, that is M positive, X negative. For example, we have sodium and chlorine reacting to form sodium chloride. So this is a ionic compound. What is going to be the order of the reactivity for the particular halogen? Well, again, down the group, the atomic size is increasing, the ionization enthalpy is decreasing. Therefore, the electron can be lost easily by the alkali metal. Hence, cesium is going to be most reactive. What is going to be the order of the alkali metal halides? Again, it is going to be increasing down the group because the cesium ion, this can be formed most easily. Now, lithium halides, please do remember, they are going to be most somewhat covalent. Why are they going to be covalent? Because lithium ion, this is very small in size and it has a high tendency to distort the electron cloud around the negative halide ion because of the high polarization capability. So this is again in accordance with the Fajan's rule. Higher is going to be the charge density, higher is going to be the polarizing power of the cation, and more it is going to be, more is going to be the covalent character. Now the anion which is going to have a large size, it can also be distorted very easily among the halides. So lithium iodide, therefore, this is going to be most covalent in nature. Lithium has a small size, so it is going to polarize more, right? And iodine, this has a large size, it can be polarized more. Therefore, most covalent character is going to be for lithium iodide. And then we have lithium fluoride. This is going to be ionic in nature because fluoride ion, this is very small. So it does not have that much of a capability to get polarized. It is electronegative also. It is going to keep its electron pair towards itself. And now what about lithium chloride? So lithium chloride, chlorine is going to come in between. Okay, so it is not very small like fluorine and it is not very large like iodine. So you have to learn about lithium chloride. Well, this has a covalent character and this is confirmed from its solubility in organic solvents like alcohol. So these are the important things that you have to remember here. So now let us talk more about these alkali metal halides. Whatever is given in your NCERT textbook, whatever is being asked in the examination. First of all, we have the method of preparation of these. So these can be prepared by the reaction of the appropriate oxide hydroxide carbonate with the aqueous hydrohalic acid HX, which means it is going to be HCl, HBr, HI and so on. So we have the metal oxide reacting with HX, it will be forming MX plus water. Then we have the metal hydroxide reacting with hydrohalic acid to form the metal halide, and along with that again water will be formed. Then we have the metal carbonate reacting with HX to form the halide along with that water, and because it was carbonate, so carbon dioxide gas is going to get evolved. The alkali metal halides, that is MX, that where X is going to be fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, all they are going to be high melting colorless crystalline solid. Now the next very important thing that you have to remember in relation to these alkali metal halides is their high negative enthalpies of formation. So whenever they are going to be formed from the constituent metal and the halogen, they are going to be releasing a lot of energy. and release of lot of energy means the system is decreasing its energy. Whenever the system's energy decreases, that process is a favorable process. So this means higher is going to be the negative enthalpy of formation. It is more favorable a process. Okay. And more stable is the compound also going to be. So related to the high enthalpies of formation, you can also remember the stability orders for these compounds. So the delta HF formation values, if we look for the fluorides, they become less negative as we are going to go down the group. So this means lithium fluoride, this is going to be the most stable also, and as we are going to go down the group, cesium fluoride, this will be having the least negative value of formation. So the values of enthalpy, they are decreasing. So this means cesium fluoride, this will be the least stable also, if you have to remember the stability orders. Okay, and then if we look at the chlorides, bromides and the iodides, we find that opposite is going to be the order. Now, why is it going to be the opposite order? Please just remember, how do we calculate the enthalpy of formation? So enthalpy of formation means, for example, if I am taking sodium, so sodium was a metal, right? So first of all, you're going to convert sodium into the gaseous atoms. So this is going to be heat of atomization that is going to be there. Then it is going to be sodium ion formed, right? So this is going to be what? Ionization energy. And then we will be having similarly, for example, if we have chlorine, so chlorine, this is going to be a gas, but it has to get converted into, first of all, chlorine atoms, and these chlorine atoms, then they will have to gain an electron to form the chloride ions. All right, and then these two, they will be combining to form the sodium chloride lattice. So there are many things which are involved over here. Heat of atomization involved, ionization enthalpy involved. For chlorine, it will be electron affinity that is going to be involved, and then it is going to be lattice energy also going to be involved. So whatever will be the dominating factor, there we are going to see that as the trends. So in case of fluorine, fluorine is a very small sized ion, fluoride ion. So this is going to be more favorable when it is going to be combining with the lithium ion. Small combining together, more is going to be the lattice energy, right? And lattice energy you also understand by charge density also. So that is why we find in case of fluorides, the order is going to decrease down the group. But in case of chlorides, bromides and iodides, well, it is going to increase down the group when we are going to have a particular halide, that is bromide, chloride or iodide. Okay. Now, if the metal is the same and we are comparing the delta H formation values from fluoride to iodide, please do remember they will be becoming less negative from fluoride to iodide. Okay, so this will be the order. So these are depending upon many factors. So please do remember these orders very well. Now the lattice energy, because we are talking about lattice energy, so you can be asked the orders for lattice energy also. So lattice energy, you know, this depends upon charge density. So if it is depending upon charge density, you know that lithium ion, this is the smallest in size. If the halogen atom is going to be the same, so the lattice energy order is going to be maximum for lithium halide, and down the group it will be decreasing. And if we will be taking a particular metal ion, and then we will be seeing the corresponding halides, again the fluoride ion, this will be the smallest in size. So again the charge density is going to be more because of the small size. So lattice energy again is going to be in the order fluoride ion being maximum and iodide ion being the least. So again, what you can remember very frequently, this is that the fluorides of the alkali metals, they are going to be more stable, whereas the iodides of the alkali metals, they will be least stable. So please do remember these orders very well, because they are very frequently asked in the examination. Keep on revising them, make sticker notes, put them on walls, and just remember them. Now next we talk about the melting points and the boiling points of these compounds. So again, this is going to be very important trends. And again, the alkali metal halides, they are what compounds? They are ionic compounds. So, and ionic compounds, they have high melting and boiling points. So alkali metal halides, therefore they have high melting points and boiling points. If now the halogen is going to be different, the metal is going to be the same, then what is going to be the trend for the melting and the boiling points? Well, it is going to decrease down the group. The melting and boiling point of MF will be maximum, MI will be the least. Now, why is it so? Again, because the iodide ion, this is the largest in size. Largest in size means it can be polarized more easily by the cation. And therefore, more easy polarization means more covalent character. More covalent character means the melting points, boiling points, they are going to be less, because a very important difference you've already learned for the ionic compounds and the covalent compounds is that ionic compounds, they have high melting boiling points, whereas covalent compounds, they have low melting and boiling points. Okay, so I hope you can remember this. Now, very importantly, you have to learn the trends when we are going to have a particular halide ion, and then you have to compare the various metal ions for that. Okay, so when it is going to be chlorides and bromides, the trend is going to be in accordance with the lattice energy, right? So lattice energy decreases down the group. Lattice energy decreases down the group. Similarly, the melting and the boiling points are also going to decrease down the group. Sodium halide, this has the maximum, and cesium halide, this will have the minimum, except over here, lithium halide, in accordance to the lattice energy values, this should have the highest melting boiling point, but it is having the least. Why? Because lithium ion, this is a positive ion, this is a cation and a very small size cation. So now this will be having more of a polarizing power. More polarizing power again means more of covalent character. Again, more covalent character means a lesser melting and boiling points. Okay. Now the next we have is when it is going to be the trend for the iodides. Now you understand that lithium, all halides, they are having the lower melting boiling points because of the more covalent character due to the small size of lithium. Again, here what you will be seeing is there is small change over here between potassium iodide and sodium iodide also. Why? Because iodide ion, this is the largest in size. So sodium ion also has some polarizing effect on the iodide ion. Potassium, again, this will become larger, so it will not have that much of a polarizing effect. Sodium does have, so therefore its melting and boiling points, it decreases than potassium iodide. If you understand the reasons, you will be able to remember the trends also. Okay. And then we have the order for the melting points again for the fluorides now. When it is going to be the fluorides, you will be seeing that sodium fluoride, potassium fluoride, lithium fluoride, it was not, now it is not at the end in case of the fluorides. It has come in between the rest of the four. All right, so then it will be rubidium fluoride and then it will be cesium fluoride. Why now? Because the fluoride ion is very small. Okay, so because of the small size of the fluoride ion, the lithium does not have that much of a polarizing effect on the fluoride ion, so its melting points and boiling points, they have come in between. So please do remember that the compounds of lithium halides, they are not in their original position because of the polarization we see in case of the lithium halides. In case of NaI, sodium ion, this causes some polarization to a little bit extent. Okay. Now, next we will be talking about the solubility of the halides. Again, very importantly, this is coming in the examination, and I told you a trick in the last lecture to remember the solubility, and the trick is that solubility is going to be more when small cation is going to be with a large anion and large cation is going to be with a small anion. When the size difference between the two ions, this is maximum. Okay, so the first trends that you have to remember is for the solubility of the fluorides. So fluoride, this is a small anion, so it is going to be maximum soluble when it is going to be with the cation of the largest size. So cesium fluoride, this is going to be maximum soluble. Easy to remember. All right. Next we look at the chlorides. So chlorides also, chlorine is going to be smaller, but you just have to remember that from sodium to cesium chloride, you will be seeing the same trend like we have for a small cation with a large anion. But lithium chloride, well, this has the maximum solubility. This is one thing that you will have to remember. Okay. The next we have is the solubility of the bromides. So solubility of the bromides is going to follow the order now that bromide ion is a larger ion, right? So large ion is going anion is going to be more soluble when it is going to be present with a small cation. So that is why lithium bromide, then sodium, potassium, rubidium and cesium bromide, this will be the least soluble. Similar is going to be the trend for the iodides. Again, there is one exception, that is lithium iodide. Sodium iodide, this is going to be the most soluble, and cesium iodide, this is going to be the least soluble. Okay. Lithium iodide, this shows some abnormalities which you will have to remember. Okay, now the low solubility, the questions which are generally asked in the examination, that if this is the trend that is given to you and you are asked why lithium fluoride this is having the least solubility. So solubility, again, this depends, I told you in the last lecture that it is going to depend upon two factors. One is going to be an lattice energy and the other is going to be hydration energy. In case of lithium fluoride, because of the small size of lithium and fluorine, the lattice energy is going to be the dominant factor. That is why lattice energy is more, solubility is going to be less. They are inversely proportional to each other. Whereas in this one, fourth trend, very frequently it is asked to you that why cesium iodide, this has the least solubility. This has the least solubility now because these two ions, they are very large in size and hydration enthalpy is going to be least, because hydration enthalpy and lattice energy both depend upon charge density. We have to see which is going to be the dominating factor. Alright, so in case of lithium fluoride, it is lattice energy which is dominating. In cesium iodide, the answer for less solubility is going to be smaller hydration enthalpy. Lithium has maximum polarization, so it has lower solubility in the polar solvents. So that is why we see in case of lithium iodide over here, this is less soluble than sodium iodide. Next, we have very frequently asked that out of potassium, which is going to be the most soluble halide. So it is going to be potassium iodide, which is going to be the most soluble because of a lower lattice energy. Okay, because if it would have been the hydration energy, well, hydration energy is going to be less for the iodide ion, right? It is going to be the least for the iodide ion, and potassium is in between. So if it is potassium iodide which is the most soluble halide, well, the answer is going to be lowest lattice energy. Okay, so now remember some more points related to these alkali metal halides. All these halides, they are soluble in water except for lithium fluoride and cesium iodide, which we have just now discussed that they have low solubility. All right, so lithium fluoride, this is because of its high lattice energy, and cesium iodide, this is because of its less hydration enthalpy, because that is why they are low soluble in water. Alright, now the halides of lithium, except for lithium fluoride, they are also soluble in ethanol, acetone and ethyl acetate. Lithium chloride, this is going to be soluble in pyridine also. And this is going to be very important for you people to remember that the solubility in the relatively non-polar solvents, this is going to be dependent upon the polarization. More is going to be the polarization, more is going to be the covalent character, and hence more is going to be the solubility in organic solvents. And this is very helpful in choosing the solvent for organic reactions. For example, I give you one example, that is the Finkelstein reaction. Okay, this is a reaction that you will be studying in class 12th, but I'm going to teach you the basis for this reaction over here only. Okay, so now what we see in the preparation of alkyl halides, which is going to be the first chapter of organic chemistry in class 12 for you people, that there you have many reactions by which you can prepare alkyl chlorides and alkyl chlorides. Alkyl chlorides and alkyl bromides. But what happens is when you have to make fluorides and iodides, there are going to be certain problems. I'm not discussing those problems over here. We will discuss when we will be talking about alkyl halides. But well, this means that there are going to be certain special ways which we will have to use for the preparation of alkyl fluorides and alkyl iodides. And Finkelstein reaction is a reaction which we use for the preparation of alkyl iodides. Okay, so we have alkyl halide, which is going to be either a chloride or it is going to be a bromide. We are going to react this with sodium iodide, and the reaction, alkyl iodide will be produced and sodium halide will be produced. If it is going to be chlorine over here, it will be sodium chloride. If it is bromine over here, it will be sodium bromide. Now for this reaction, you need some solvent to dissolve the salt, right? And the solvent, now you can choose either water or you can choose acetone. Now which one should we choose? That is what you have to understand over here. All right, now sodium iodide, this is having the sodium ion and the iodide ion. The iodide ion, this can be polarized, but the sodium ion, this cannot polarize to that effect. Okay, so, but well, what we see is that we have just now studied that all the halides, they are soluble in water. So we find that sodium iodide, this is soluble in water. Similarly, what about sodium chloride? So sodium chloride is also soluble in water. Now we talk about in acetone. So sodium iodide, well, this has the iodide ion. Iodide ion, this has a what effect? There is going to be some amount of covalent character to it because of the large size of the iodide ion. So this is soluble in acetone. But when we talk about sodium chloride, well, this is not going to be soluble in acetone because the cation is large in size and the anion, this is also similar in size. So the covalent character of this compound is not there, and you very well know that this is a very ionic compound. Okay, so therefore sodium chloride, this is not soluble in water, sorry, in acetone. So sodium chloride is not soluble in acetone, but it is soluble in water. What this means is that this will precipitate out in this reaction, and when sodium chloride is precipitating out, what this means is that the forward reaction can be better in case when we have chosen acetone to be the solvent. So the product yield will be better when we will be choosing acetone as the solvent in comparison to water. All right, so NaCl is soluble in water, but it is insoluble in acetone, which will make the reaction unidirectional. So this way, understanding about the solubility of these compounds, we were able to choose which solvent out of water and acetone is going to be helpful for more of the production of Ri. So this can be one of the questions for you people in JEE Advanced. Okay, so I am trying to teach you my level best. The next we have a very easy reactions for you people now, sulfur and phosphorus. So all the alkali metals, they will be forming ionic sulfides and ionic phosphides. So sodium on reaction with S8, the metallic form of sulfur, this will be forming sodium sulfide, and when it will be reacting with P4, we are going to heat the two of them together, they will be forming sodium phosphide. In fact, you can look at all the reactions down the group 15 elements. We will be having phosphorus reacting with the alkali metal to form phosphides, arsenic forming arsenides, and antimony forms stibanites. Why it is called as stibanites? Because antimony, this has the Latin name stibium. Okay, so you can just remember that antimony is going to be stibium. So that is why we call the anions to be stibanites. And then we have similarly, the oxygen family also, so that is also going to be the same way as like oxides, sulfides, selenides, and tellurides. The next we move on again to the very important property of the alkali metals, that these all have reducing nature. So most of the discussion we've already done while we were talking about the standard reduction potentials in the last lecture. So let us just quickly do over this. I will not be putting more time. So these are the standard electrode potentials which are given in the NCERT textbook, and we saw over there that lithium, this has the highest negative electrode potential value, whereas sodium, this has the least value, and otherwise from sodium to cesium, the negative values, they are increasing. It was only lithium which was having abnormally high negative electrode potential value. All right, so what we learned is when we are going to have the value for M positive to M, what this means is that M positive is going to get converted into M by the gain of an electron, gain of electron means reduction. So the value which we have given over here, these are standard reduction potential values. And when we write this as M to M positive, this means that it will be losing electron to form M positive. So this is going to be the oxidation reaction that will be taking place. And the values, if they are given in this form, well, this means that they will be given as standard oxidation potential values. What is the relationship between these two values? What we have learned is that oxidation electrode potential value, this is going to be equal to the numeric form of the reduction potential, but with a opposite sign. All right, so if lithium, this is having a standard reduction potential value as minus 3.04, the oxidation value is going to be 3.04. So this means that the standard reduction values, this means that this is going to be a tendency to gain electrons, and oxidation values, this is a tendency to lose electrons. Okay, and the highest negative electrode potential values for the reduction potential, this is going to mean that there is a least tendency to get reduced, or this is a least tendency to act as an oxidizing agent. And the highest positive electrode potential values for the oxidation potential, this means what? That the highest value means highest tendency to get oxidized or highest tendency to get as a reducing agent. And lithium, this has the highest negative value, so this means that this will have a least tendency to get oxidized, and also because it will be having the highest oxidation potential value, so this means that this is going to act as the best reducing agent. Okay, so lithium, this has the most negative electrode potential value, maximum tendency to get oxidized, or the best reducing agent. So now I hope you understand that the electrode potential values, this is a measure of the reducing properties of any metal. And when we are saying that it is going to be the reducing power of any metal, the metal is losing electrons. Well, it is not going to be just simply the metal losing electrons as the ionization enthalpy. There are certain more important things over here. So first of all, the metal as a solid is getting converted into the gaseous metal ions, right? So here it is going to be either, we call it as sublimation enthalpy because a solid getting converted into a gas, or it is going to be the heat of atomization. In the metal, there are going to be metallic bonds, breaking of those bonds and converting into individual gaseous atoms. And then these atoms, they will be losing electrons to forming the corresponding cation, so it will be ionization enthalpy. And then these metal ions, they will get hydrated with water to form the metal ions in the aqueous solution, so these will be the hydration enthalpy, and a sum total of all of this is giving us the standard electrode potential values. Now lithium, because this has the smallest size, so this has the highest hydration enthalpy, and therefore that is why it has the highest negative electrode potential values. Everything I talked about in detail, I'm just revising this. Please do watch the previous lecture so that you have a thorough understanding of all this. Okay. Therefore, lithium having minus 3.04 volt as the electrode potential value, this will be the most powerful reducing agent. Sodium having the least value, this will be the least powerful reducing agent. Okay, and very frequently this is asked in the examination that lithium, this has the highest ionization enthalpy. Why it is acting as the strongest reducing agent? So the answer you all know. Now this is because of the hydration enthalpy of the lithium ions. Large amount of energy is released during hydration, and this more than compensates the high ionization enthalpy value. Another question which is very frequently asked is that the alkali metals, they are better reducing agents than hydrogen. So again, why is it so? Because they have large oxidation potential values. So they react with compounds containing acidic hydrogen atoms like water with alcohol and acetylene to liberate hydrogen. For example, if I give you the reaction with alcohol, lithium plus ethyl alcohol, this is forming C2H5O Li plus hydrogen. So here lithium is going to be in the 0 oxidation state. Here it is going to be in the +1 oxidation state. So this means that this is a loss of electrons. So this means this is going to be that lithium is getting oxidized. Lithium getting oxidized, it is acting as a reducing agent. What is it reducing? Well, over here, this C2H5OH to the release hydrogen, it is acting as a reducing agent. Okay, similar is going to be the reaction with water, similar is going to be the reaction with acetylene also. Okay, so this is something, water reaction we've already seen in the previous lecture, and there we also learned about that the reactivity of the alkali metals with water, this is going to decrease, this is going to increase down the group. Lithium is least reactive, and that is what we have already discussed in detail in the last lecture. While lithium, in spite of its highest electrode potential values, is having the least reactivity with the alkali metals. Okay, so I hope all this is clear now. So this brings us to the end of today's discussion, but not to the end of the chemical properties for the alkali metals. There are still some more and very, very important properties that we have to discuss and that we will be taking up in the next lecture. For example, we have to very importantly discuss a question which is repeatedly asked in all types of examination, be it JEE Mains, Advanced or NEET, even AIMS examination, and that is the reaction of the alkali metals with liquid ammonia, which we will be taking up a detailed discussion in the next lecture. Alright, so we will be winding up with the discussion on the chemical properties the next lecture, but now it is time for the lecture review questions, how much you have gained from this lecture. So what you have to do is simply put your answers in the comment section. It is only then I will be giving you the correct answers. So question number 1 is what we have already seen and discussed. I just want to check whether you remember what was the reaction and what is the correct answer for the question. So lithium aluminium hydride, this reacts with silicon tetrachloride to form what? And this is a JEE Mains 2019 question. That is why it is so very important. Now question number 2, the solubility order for the alkali metal fluorides in water is in the order lithium fluoride, rubidium fluoride, potassium and sodium fluoride, which you have to arrange in the correct order. And well, this is a question which I have taken up from the NTA mock test, which is giving in its app, that is the National Test Abhyas. So there have been many mock tests which have been uploaded by NTA, which also we are scanning while we are preparing for your lectures. So question number 3, which of the following compounds is not soluble in water? Lithium fluoride, sodium chloride, sodium bromide, lithium bromide, and this is also an NTA mock test question. The next question is highest and lowest magnitude for the enthalpy of formation of alkali halides: cesium fluoride, lithium iodide, cesium fluoride, cesium iodide, lithium fluoride, cesium iodide, lithium fluoride and lithium iodide. And this is something that we have discussed in detail related to the enthalpy of formation for the alkali metal halides. So I hope you are going to get the correct answer for this. The last question for today, which of the following is correct? Lithium is a better reducing agent than sodium. Sodium is a better reducing agent than potassium. Rubidium is a better reducing agent than sodium. Rubidium is a better reducing agent than lithium. Alright, and this is going to be a multi-correct answer. Please do remember, it is not going to be a single correct answer. There is more than one answer which is going to be correct for this question. So please mark your choices appropriately, put them in the comment section, and I will be giving you the correct answers. So that would be all for this lecture. I hope I'm going to see you back for the next lecture, where we are going to discuss again very important properties, very important trends, and this lecture I have not given you have an edge section, and that is why we will be compiling all these properties in the next lecture when we will be concluding the chemical properties. Okay, so have an edge section is going to be pending for this lecture. We will be putting that together in the next lecture. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you. Do subscribe to the channel if you have not done till now. Do like if you are really liking. If you do not like, well, you can put it a thumbs down also. And if you're liking, please do share it with your friends so that they can also gain from the hard work that we are putting in for you people. So see you again. Have a nice day. God bless you.